Peace, world. Pappy Come On Freeman, Angry Black Man in Therapy, here representing We Act Radio. Here to talk about Zohran Mamdani in the New York City mayoral race, which you should be paying attention to. If you have not been paying attention, you need to pay attention. Check this out. This is the night before the New York City mayoral race. Why is this of concern to you? Well, one, New York City is the biggest city in America. Two, they have a Democratic Socialist that is about to topple the establishment. Two-time governor, disgraced former governor, Status Cuomo, who is, for some reason, dependent upon the support of his black base, okay? Status Cuomo is dependent on a black base. Like, how is it that black people are determining the outcome of an election where this is class warfare, where you have an upstart, Zohran Mamdani, who's talking about free buses, free child care, freezing the rent for millions of people, and somehow the black base of Status Cuomo is still leaning towards him. Like, they had to go dust off Jim Clyburn from South Carolina to secure the black vote for Status Cuomo, right? I mean, they did the same thing, or at least Jim Clyburn did the same thing for Bernie Sanders. You remember the other Democratic Socialists? Did the same thing. So how is it that black people are sitting here saying that somehow this guy does not reflect my politics, my values, but because Jim Clyburn, some dude in South Carolina has been in office as long as Eleanor Holmes Norton, is in tune with what is important to my bottom line here in the most expensive city in America, right? This is crazy, crazy. They had to go get Al Sharpton to co-sign on this. Now, mind you, there's 3 black people in the race, okay? It's like Wu-Tang Clan running, but that's okay, because with ranked choice voting, you don't have to hold your nose and vote for the lesser of two evils. You can actually support the cat that you really want. And that is what Zohran Mamdani is representing. He is representing a revolution of values. And the same thing I ran on here in D.C. when I ran for Congress, and we'll be doing it again. So I'm very inspired by this young man. Martin Luther King's, next to his last speech, was entitled "Remaining Awake During a Great Revolution." Goes on to say in that speech that far too often people find themselves living in periods of great social change, but yet they fail to develop the new ideas, the new mental responses to the new situation demands. And I think ranked choice voting is one of those new ways of thinking about voting. That's why our lawmakers here in Washington, D.C. are trying to get rid of ranked choice voting, despite the fact that almost 75% of the city voted for it, just like almost 75% of the people voted for it in New York, because once you put it to the people that they actually are being empowered, because with ranked choice voting, there's no splitting the vote. With ranked choice voting, there's no lesser of two evils. You rank your first, second, third, fourth, fifth preference, if that's how many people are running. And whoever gets 50% or more, that's the guy that gets it. Now, what's wrong with that? Why is that so complicated? You'll keep hearing them saying, oh, it's so complicated, it's complicated to maintain the status quo with this empowered voting policies. That's what's complicated. It's complicated to try to make it make sense on why people are still voting against their own self-interest. That's what's complicated. Status Cuomo had to go get Bill Clinton, Al Sharpton, Jim Clyburn, and hold your nose. You ready for this? Bloomberg donated as much money in one fell swoop, him and his little circle of billionaires, as Zohran raised out of tens of thousands of people. Okay? Tens of thousands of people. He had raised, I believe it was $8 million. I think he said the average donation was about $70 for tens of thousands of people, right? Bloomberg and his cronies dropped that in one fell swoop. Because you know why? Because New York has the highest concentration of billionaires in America. Did you know that? New York has the highest concentration of millionaires in America. Did you know that? And Status Quo is worried that if we elect a Democratic socialist like Zohran Mamdani, then there might be displacement of billionaires. It might be a displacement of millionaires. They'll go elsewhere. I don't seem to remember anyone caring about all of the people that was priced out of New York, displaced out of New York. All right? Sounds familiar? No one cares about black people being displaced. No one cares about Latinos being displaced. No one cares about Chinatown. Don't even have Chinese people owning stuff in Chinatown. They're being displaced. But for some reason, we're supposed to be bleeding because millionaires might go elsewhere. Billionaires might go elsewhere. Bye, Felicia. How about that? Let me get this straight. This is the night before a very historic election. Pay attention. We're not going to get a straight answer on who's victorious tomorrow. But in the next few days, you will hear that Zohran upset the status quo. All right. The favorite. All right. Who felt entitled. Okay. And did I mention that he resigned as governor because of sexual allegations? Did I mention that he's also responsible for tens of thousands of people dying in COVID when he took people who was COVID positive and put them in nursing homes and tried to cover up the numbers of those deaths? This is the guy that the New York Times, that Bill Clinton, that Jim Clyburn, that Bloomberg, and a whole list of other people who were all on board for him to be to face resignation to prevent him from being impeached, right? They're overlooking that. That ethical behavior is acceptable, but we can't have a Democratic socialist heading up the financial district of America. What will we do? That's where we are, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers and sisters, friends and enemies. We have a 33-year-old, Muslim, who is for the Free Palestine. And that's what they're not saying. They're not saying that we have to have a Zionist in charge of New York. If you're not a Zionist, you can't run New York. That's what they're doing. That's why New York Times tried to put out a hit piece on him. Even our beloved Atlantic magazine, that gave us, what's our brother's name? I'm having a senior moment. Ta-Nehisi Coates brought him to national fame. But having been hearing Atlantic singing Ta-Nehisi's praises here lately, since he came back from apartheid Israel and told the truth about the Zionist apartheid system there, having heard Atlanta singing his graces since that time, and his wonderful book that is out, and you should pick that up. But yeah, this is where we are. This is the eve of a small revolution happening right here in America. I know we got to be concerned about what's going on. Trump is about to blow up the world, World War III and all that. That is a real serious problem, all right? But don't discredit the wins, because this could change a lot. This can change a lot. If Mamdani is in New York, the largest city in America, home of Trump, by the way. You know, he doesn't go there too often anymore because of the state attorney general is threatening to arrest his ass. So he stays clear of New York. But Mamdani has pledged to stand up against ICE in New York. So if you think stuff popped off in LA, let ICE and Trump try that stuff in New York and see what happens. If Mamdani's in charge, we're going to see some real class warfare in this country. And I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Let's have it. And so if you can try to explain to me why we think that someone as Revolutionary Mamdani can't win, someone who is actually telling the truth can't win, someone who's actually representing the people can't win, all of that's about to be put to rest with Zohran Mamdani's upset of status quo. All the horses was against him, but he led an exciting campaign. He's galvanized the people, and check this out. It's 100 degrees outside. It's 100 degrees outside. A lot of the elders that status quo is dependent upon are not coming out in that heat. So unless they voted early, there might be a dip in status quo's numbers. Who's already hit a ceiling? He has hit a ceiling. Zohran has all of the momentum going into this because they just came out with the last poll before the election by, I believe it was Emory College, who had the most accurate poll in the last New York City mayoral race, by the way, and they got him pulling it out. They got Mamdani, and so I'm here to tell you, I'm taking all bets. You know, I'm not speaking on behalf of We Act Radio on that, but that's just Kimon Freeman, not the Newton Media Group. But I'm taking all bets. Anybody want to take a bet on status quo over Mamdani? I will personally stand up to that one. All right, but that's my time. I wanted to put that out there. I'm wishing the brother a number of success. It's a great opportunity to see a win for the people. I'm so excited for the people in New York. I hope that he can flip tables like Jesus, and because he has not only an endorsement from AOC, who is one of the most popular young upstarts, he's far left than her. He even dragged her kicking and screaming to say free Palestine. You know, she had to jump on board with a late last minute endorsement. Bernie Sanders jumped on board with a last minute endorsement. The progressive leadership has stamped this young man, and the establishment is shaking in their boots. Clyburn didn't know what to do with himself. Al Sharpton don't know what to do with himself. And what's the guy? Chuck Schumer don't know what to do with himself. But ironically, as I look down the list of New York leadership that endorsed status quo, you know, Richie Torres, all these Zionists up there, of course. But somehow Hakeem Jeffries' name wasn't up there. I was just a little weird because he's a Zionist. So I was like, "What's up with that, Hakeem?" I'm bravo that he did not add his name to Still Trash onto status quo. I just thought it was unusual to be absent on that list. But we're gonna see what happens. Watch the New York City mayoral race. The establishment is scared. They're shaking in their boots. The millionaires and billionaires in New York are at risk of flight, if you will. And we should be applauding that. It's just that I'm embarrassed that they keep repeating that status quo is leading in the black vote in New York City. And I want to understand, how is it that black people are going against a democratic socialist that's supporting child care, that's supporting free buses, that's supporting a rent freeze? How can you possibly justify that radical revolution of values and hold your nose and go with status quo, who's responsible for over 10,000 deaths, personally responsible for over 10,000 deaths in old folks' homes and during the COVID, because he put COVID positive people in old folks' homes and then tried to hide the numbers of the deaths. That's on record. This is not the CIA term conspiracy theory. This is on record. And then, of course, he had like a dozen women accusing him of sexual harassment. He had a 25-year-old in his office asking her, do you date older men? Are you single? What do you think about, yeah, dude, this is the guy that you want over the new leadership. That's what's wrong with the Democratic Party. They want to dump, what's Cuomo? He's got to be 70 years old. Status quo. They want to go with regurgitated, old, stale leadership instead of fresh, daring new ideas that galvanizes the youth. That is called maintaining the status quo. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers and sisters, friends and enemies, we are at the precipice of a small R revolution in New York City to kick it off. The Big Apple is about to be on fire. And in the words of Spike Lee, do the right thing. Peace, y'all.